So hi everyone, thanks for joining us again. Neil Selvage here, and welcome to this second edition of Gassing On for this third season that we're doing. First of all, thanks for everybody for getting in touch regarding last week's topics, which was the verification and well-being. Some people came through the Facebook channel, predominantly installers came through that channel, and it was great to hear some of your views and thoughts, and a few people through LinkedIn, a lot of direct messages coming through. So some of them obviously being some issues quite sensitive, so what cropped up I dealt with directly with people, but certainly if anybody's got any views or comments, if you feel they can come out to the whole group, that's brilliant. But we certainly try and filter what comes through the email and the inbox for that. So thanks again for everybody for contributing, really valuable. I thought this week a couple of issues that have cropped up. Well, there's always many issues cropping up on site, but one of them this week was really to do with method statements, and it's a common thing that for site teams, when they arrive on site, have they got their RAMs in place? Well, it was interesting this week. I asked one of the team members, he's actually under MVQ level 2 assessment. I said, do you know what RAMs stands for? And he kind of looked a little bit vacant, and after a ponder I said, well, what are the key documents you must have in place before you commence your works, or ideally that you would have reviewed before you attended site. And then he suddenly triggered, I've got to have a risk assessment. Oh, that's great, we've got the RA part of it. What's the MS? And then we had to have a bit of negotiation. Now you might be sitting there thinking, well, crikey, if that person's doing an MVQ level 2, surely RAMs is a known quantity of being a risk assessment and method statement. So it kind of highlights, and again, this is for our wider audience, ask that question to your technicians on site. Do they know what RAMs are? How often do you review your RAMs with your technician? Because often we see a very generic format, the same risk assessment method state being churned out time and time again. And I kind of find it quite amusing when I see certain little, the common things that need to change, i.e. the products or the weights of the product or the working time, how long the job is going to take, is kind of not overlooked and missed. So when I do see the wrong products in place, I often ask the learners, well, I see that you're meant to be putting ABC membrane in and you're actually putting XYZ in. Why is that? What's the change? Oh, so reviewing these RAMs, and especially the method statement part, is quite a key element that hopefully people will think maybe we should have a review on that. And certainly if you find yourself in the uncomfortable position of being audited either by industry accreditation schemes, or ultimately if the HSE were to get involved and look at those, they'd certainly pick up on some of those elements. So just food for thought really, that working methods and method statements should really be kind of honed in a little bit, reviewed. And as a little bit of a sideline off that, I think one of the things that I often see is working methods. Now, how prescriptive should we be on our working methods? Describing how we're going to detail corners, and how we're going to, whether we're using self-adhesive membranes or whether we're using pre-made units, or whether we're just going to fold and crease it and hold it in whichever way we can. When I see people refer to a method statement and just say, according to manufacturer's instructions, I find that a little bit of a kind of cheap way of getting out of it. And I will often ask at that point, well, can I see the manufacturer's instructions? Because the manufacturers do put out various bits of guidelines or guidance on installation methods, but how prescriptive do we need to be? So again, something that I've been picking up with a few of my learners that I've been asking, and I felt that it's a point that should really come back to the management side of things, those people that are writing the method statements. Do they understand that themselves, and are they factoring that into the work? The other element that I just wanted to wrap up on this week was looking at timeframes of jobs, and allocating the team an appropriate amount of time. Now, recently we've been working through the very hot weather, and you know, for some people, they'd say, well, the guys must be really enjoying this, working out, you know, installing in the sunshine. But when we look at the working method, are we being realistic in the timeframes? You know, the wear and fatigue on our technicians out in the sun. It might sound great to be out there, but it is actually hard work, you know, and we have to protect the workforce. And again, in our method statements, are we factoring in timeframes for weather conditions? I know certainly when the winter comes around, and, you know, we've got the opposite limitation there of, you know, when the wet weather, cold weather, frost and snow, it can certainly, you know, cause problems to our timeframes, our timetables, programming for the site. Really problematic. But again, is this an element that's factored into the method statement? Going back to my learner that I was with this week, we had a good trawl through the method statement, and there was no reference to a time frame. How long is this job going to take? So if there was need to vary that time frame for the technician on site to go face to face with either the groundwork ganger man or the site manager to try and resolve any issues if he was overrunning on time, there was nothing clearly written down to support him. So did that require him to go back and talk to his project team back at his office, or ask for discussions between the site management team and his project management team, where it could be quite simply resolved? You know, timeframes are laid out in a work program, and has it been previously planned out during a pre-start meeting? So again, little pointers. I thought, well, I'm just going to raise these and you know, see what people think. Some people might say, well, no, we don't need to include timeframes. Well, every job works to a program. It's the most critical thing that a site will run to. So just a few bits there for you to take, ponder. And by all means, please come back with any comments or thoughts on, you know, how you deal with it, or, you know, maybe you'll take some of these topics and review your own situation. So thanks again for coming on board. Thanks again for listening. Really appreciate it. I'll be back again next week. There's bound to be more things arising on site. There is all the time, every week. So I'll see you all again next week, and look forward to any comments that come through. And look after yourselves, and well, work safely and stick to that method statement. Cheers now.